Hey guys, so in this video, I just want to talk about how I was able to have some success with Upwork in the past few months. And essentially, it's allowed me to quit my 9 to 5 job and to pursue other objectives. I quit my job back in May, in the beginning of May, and in January this year, I was doing Upwork in my free time, and really got into this vibe coding tool, no code tool called Lovable.dev, which today is the fastest growing software company in history. So I think their release was back in November 2024, and I tried it out in late December, early January, and to me it was just very clear, very obvious after that first prompt that this tool would really just have a big impact in the industry. I think I was actually the first person to include Lovable.dev in their Upwork job profile. And after doing that in January, I just got so much demand. I started off with $12 an hour, which was my hourly rate, and I've managed to increase that to $75 an hour in a matter of 4 to 5 months, which is ridiculous because these tools are so in demand. And ironically, I was able to actually help my friend copy and paste my methods and my the methods I use to get clients, complete projects successfully for clients. I taught that to my friend, and he was able to also make. I think he's at $7 or $8,000 now, in a matter of a few months. Yeah, so this is my friend here. So yeah, $7,000, which is crazy. I'm not sure if this applies to every single job on Upwork. However, in the coding space, it seems that both me and Tim have had some success. If we've managed to do it, then I'm thinking that other people can also do this. I've recently launched a school community called Lovable Vibe Coding. I made a post in here about one of my clients' projects that I completed successfully, which was this project for $2,500. And I seem to got a lot of requests from people asking me essentially how can I get my own clients via Upwork. And again, I think if you learn how to win clients on Upwork, you could easily mirror these techniques on other platforms. So I guess I'll try to cover what's worked really well for me. Keeping in mind that in the beginning, it was not easy. The first piece of advice I would give you when you're starting Upwork is that it is definitely not easy starting off. You're really going to have to persist, and you're not going to get those nice big projects that you think you are initially. However, the goal is to work your way up to those projects. So, for example, because I was getting so much demand, every time I would get a 5-star review or I would complete a project successfully, I would increase my hourly rates by $5. And that allowed me to just essentially find the sweet spots of what clients were willing to pay for this specific service. And it's something I'd recommend you do because, you really have to value your time. Yeah, just value your time and value your work and try to find that sweet spot. So again, one advice that I think might be the most important is to get that first 5-star review, which is your most difficult in my opinion. So I do suggest that, if you know people on Upwork already, whether that's friends or friends of friends, if you just reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I can do this job for you. And then, if it's someone you already know, and then they'll leave a good review, and then you've got social proof on your Upwork profile. So it's already way more credible, and clients will trust you a lot more than if, you had no reviews or a review without any stars. But just having that 5-star, one 5-star review, in my opinion, it makes a huge difference. So yeah, that is one tip, and arguably the most important tip. Complete your profile. And again, if you don't know what to write here, just look at what others are doing in your domain. look at people that are highly successful in Upwork in your same domain area, and essentially just um, get inspiration from their profiles. That is literally all you have to do. Try to fill everything in. So, mention your education, if you have any linked accounts, and also try to add a portfolio and projects that your clients can view beforehand. And also here you can add testimonials, which do go a long way, and certifications and your employment history. So this is all for social proof and credibility. So I would definitely recommend to filling all these out. And another trick that's worked really well for me is obviously have your availability badge on, which you do by using 14 connects per week. Connects is it's kind of like the currency Upwork uses. You can buy connects with dollars. I'm not sure the exact amounts, but essentially you spend Upwork's currency, which is connects, on different features. Another useful feature is the boost your profile. So in here you can select your profile and essentially figure out your audience, your category. So for me, it would be web, mobile, and software dev. And then I would just experiment with the different specialties. So for me, what worked really well was full stack development. And here you can just put your bid per clicks. So it says here the bid is is lower than average, so just increase that to 15, and then you can limit it to 100 connects. So this means that people will reach out to you. They will essentially, it will show your profile in the top pages in Upwork when somebody posts a job and they want to invite people to that job. It will start to show your profile in some of the top in those top pages, so it'll rank you very highly. So I would definitely do this and try testing with the different specialties. See which one gets you the most invites and traction, and then I just recommend sticking with that. And then you just end up with a lot of invites and requests. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of job invitations. Yeah, so just keep in mind that you do have to start off, at least what works for me was that starting off with a realistic pricing, which, it might be $5 an hour, $10 an hour. But again, keep in mind that if you complete one small job, you increase your hourly rate every time by $5. And in a matter of a month or two, you might have quadrupled your hourly rate. So do not start out with very high prices. Unless you're someone that's highly confident in your skills and abilities and you're confident that you can execute on those larger projects. But if you're just starting off, the goal is to build up confidence. So I would start off with, I'd say in between $10 to $15 an hour. The other suggestion would be to, when a client reaches out to you, I would suggest always to get on a video call as soon as possible. So essentially you're trying to understand what issues they're having with their project, and you're just trying to, you're essentially showing them by talking about the issue at hand. You're essentially doing two things. You're showing that you're committed, and also you're checking if the project is actually feasible, if this is actually a good match and fit for you, if you feel confident you can actually execute on this project, that you can complete it. So try to get on a Zoom call, which you can do in Upwork. They have a Zoom integration. Do not share your credentials before initiating a contract, otherwise you may get you get at risk of being banned. So, and when you always suggest a video call, and when you do get on a video call, just please make sure that you show your face and your audio is good. I mean, I can't stress how important this is, and the amount of times I've spoken to people with background noise, which is just really extremely, extremely disrespectful and frustrating. And also, again, I remember speaking to one client, and their first, when they first got on the video call with me, the first thing they said was, "Wow, Zach, we spoke to a few other people on Zoom, and none of them showed their face. However, you seem to have your camera on, and we really do appreciate that. So again, guys, just make sure you turn your camera on, and no background noise, and the client will really, really appreciate that. So yeah, and also another tip would be that when a client decides to proceed with you, or it looks like they want to proceed in hiring you, um, you'll have to get to the point where you'll have to agree on a price. Clients, obviously, they want security. So let's say you have two options. You pay the freelancer on an hourly rate or a fixed price. Now, if I were to pay someone hourly, it's like, at what point do you stop working? How much money will I have spent to get this project completed? The clients want to know this, and it's essentially, it's just it gives them a sense of security. So what I would recommend is just really, really, I can't stress this enough, really figure out what is it the client wants to do with that specific project, and just ask as many questions as you can. Figure out exactly or roughly how long it will take you to complete the project, and then provide them that quote times your hourly rate, obviously. So how many hours times your hourly rate? And you give them that quote, which is a sense of security. As opposed to saying, hey, let's just hire me, do it on an hourly rate, and I'll get it done. No, that is not good. The client does not want to hear that, because then they'll just question you and say, okay, well, how long is it going to take? You need to answer that question. You need to give them that sense of security when essentially they're asking the question, how long is it going to take? Okay, you need to give them an estimate. And if you're not confident in your estimates, and like it happens very often with me, I prefer overestimating, because I always end up doing a lot more work than what I initially estimated. So what you can do is, with your original estimation, you can increase it by 10 to 20% in terms of time. So if you say 15 hours, it's going to take a total of 15 hours, then increase that by, let's say, 5 hours. Because in my experience, I've always estimated it correctly and done more work than I actually should have. So that's another tip. Additionally, let's say you want to do a hourly rate, so you get paid weekly as opposed to doing a fixed price, and you're essentially waiting for the project to be fully completed, and then you wait a few weeks for the Upwork clearance, and then you get paid. You can just do an hourly rate contract, so you get paid weekly, so you get paid a lot faster, and then I would suggest to say to the client, listen, we can do an hourly rate, and once I reach, let's say, 20 hours or 25 hours, after that, I will no longer charge you. You'll cap it at 25 hours. So that way you know that once you do let's say you're limited to 10 hours a week of work, you do 10 hours and you get paid instantly. However, you'll need to mention to them that you're going to limit and cap it at 25 hours to give them that sense of security, so that if you go over that, then you don't charge them. Otherwise, they can just say, well, it might take you more, you might end up billing me for 40 hours, and I'm not comfortable with that. So yeah, it's all about giving the client a sense of security. And that is why you need to really, really be good at estimating, asking them questions, figuring out exactly what they need. You can even, this is something I always do, have a project overview, or in software we call it a PRD, project. I think it's project requirement document, essentially listing out all the tasks that need to be done for the specific project, and that way it serves you as proof. So if a client comes to you in the future, if a client comes to you whilst you're completing the contract, you can easily say to them, and they ask for extra features, you could easily say to them, by using the project overview as a reference, you can say, well, no, this was not mentioned in the project overview. However, I'm happy to add this on as a milestone. And that way, you're not wasting your time, because you really have to value your time. But yeah, that's everything for this video, guys. If you do want me to cover more topics, again, just please drop a comment below and let me know. I'll try my best. And yeah, also, I will be sharing more tips and tricks in the school Lovable Vibe coding community, not only about Upwork, but also about how to use Lovable. And the community is free to join, so yeah, you can go ahead and check out the link below. And yeah, see you next time.